Shane Bigham. The risk of geological disaster remains high in Beijing's mountainous suburbs. Weather authorities forecast thunderstorms in the Chinese capital on Friday and Saturday. Rescue operations continue in the aftermath of Typhoon Doksuri's record rainfall in Beijing and neighboring areas. Central authorities and local governments have sent rescue teams to Hebei. Zhou is the province's hardest hit city with over 130,000 people affected. In Tianjin Municipality, residents in Qinghai District have relocated. Northeast China is now seeing heavy rainfall, with a flood reported in the Mudan River Basin. Guangdong Province has raised its flood response to the second highest level. Guanyang has more.
More severe weather, heavy rain, strong wind, and a thunderstorm has been forecast for northern China's Heilongjiang province. Torrential rain is expected in northern Xizhou. Heavy rain is also forecast for western DC and southern Heilongjiang, while the provincial capital Harbin could see moderate downpours. In the rice-producing city of Wuchang, the latest place to be hit by Typhoon Doksuri, hundreds of hectares of cropland have been affected by flooding. The town has set up temporary shelters to accommodate residents in the worst-hit areas. No casualties have been reported so far.
A mid-air scare is forced an Indigo Airlines flight to make an emergency landing at an airport in the Indian state of Bihar. Officials say everyone on board is safe. The Delhi-bound flight carrying 181 passengers and 8 crew made the landing shortly after taking off from the state capital. Media reports said the passengers would be sent to Delhi on a separate flight. The Chinese envoys urged the international community to address the root causes of food insecurity. Zheng Jun told the UN Security Council open debate that the most severely affected victims of the food crisis are developing countries. He said food insecurity is closely related to the long-standing and unreasonable food production and trade system and the global governance system as a whole. The Chinese permanent representative has called for measures to achieve the goal of zero hunger in 2030 as planned. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has welcomed the new phase of the peace process between the Colombian government and the National Liberation Army. Guterres congratulated the two parties as they embark on a new phase in their peace process, with the entry into force of their bilateral ceasefire agreement and the launch of the National Participation Committee. A statement says the UN verification mission in Colombia is ready to do its part in monitoring and verifying the ceasefire. Michelle Begay reports from Bogota, Colombia.
President Gustavo Petro is set to meet with leaders of the National Liberation Guerrilla Group, or ELN, in a ceremony to mark the beginning of a 6-month ceasefire between the military and the ELN. It is the result of nearly 10 months of negotiations and key to President Gustavo Petro's priority, a policy that he called total peace. Inside the convention center, President Petro will inaugurate this committee, which is made up of 81 delegates from different sectors of society, along with the guerrillas. Petro's government says both the ceasefire and the launch of this committee are historic. This 6-month truce will be the longest pause in the conflict since the ELN declared war against the government in 1964.
Niger's two leaders have decided to end mandates of ambassadors to the U.S., France, Nigeria, and Togo. Move comes as they face international pressure to restore the democratically elected leader they ousted last week. Meanwhile, the junta has revoked a raft of military cooperation agreements with France, a decision that could drastically reshape a fight against insurgents in the region. Saudi Arabia has announced its decision to extend the voluntary cut of oil production by 1 million barrels per day to September. The Saudi Energy Ministry says that further extensions are possible. Saudi officials say the extension of the voluntary cut aims to reinforce OPEC Plus countries' efforts to stabilize the oil markets. Tonga is experiencing unusually cold weather. Tonga Tapu Island recorded a low of 9.3 degrees Celsius at the end of July. It was the lowest on record for the Pacific Island country this year. The average temperature in July is 21 degrees Celsius. Officials say the climate's leaning towards El Nino conditions. The Meteorology Department issued an El Nino alert for Tonga last month. And that's the news. I'm Shane Bigham.